This is Monkey World, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. With every animal comes a story. Some funny, some shocking. Dramas great and small. Today on Monkey Life, new recruit stump-tailed macaque Coco meets her first companion in years, old boy Gerald.
The worrying thing now is she doesn't really know what to do.
And there's a welcome arrival for golden-cheeked gibbon Peanut. Monkey World Ape Rescue Centre is home to 15 species of primates. Only 3 of these are part of international breeding programs. They are the woolly monkeys, the orang-utans, and the golden-cheeked gibbons. Until now, it was just the woolly monkeys and orang-utans who had successfully given birth. But today the park welcomes its first baby golden-cheeked gibbon. The proud parents are Peanut and Pung-Yo. In the wild, these primates are classed as endangered, so this is great news for the park and crucial to the survival of the species.
It came a little bit sooner than we expected it to be honest with you. We're surprised for several reasons. First of all, Pung-Yo is actually very young. He's only about 5.5 years of age. So he would still well be with his mum and dad and his family unit in the wild. And she's not exactly over the hill either. She's only recently just gone through sexual maturity. So out of all the groups of gibbons that we've got here, these were the last we thought were going to be giving birth at this time. Baby is now 8 days old, so really proving to be a strong little thing. Clinging on, suckling away like mad, and mum is being perfect, absolutely perfect.
Gibbons are known as lesser apes. And while all apes and monkeys change in size, golden-cheeked gibbons go one step further. Although they're all born blonde, at around 6 months, they begin an amazing colour transformation. First, they turn black with golden cheeks. The males stay this colour, but when the females, like Peanut, sexually mature, they become blonde again, with just a black cap. Because they are so rare, there haven't been many studies of these gibbons in the wild, so this baby offers the perfect opportunity to discover exactly when and how the colour change happens.
We can now make a photographic flip book of the colour change, where it starts, how it starts, is it the back, the shoulders? So it's a beautiful opportunity to actually make a real document of exactly what goes on and when. We assume that the baby is blonde because mum's blonde and that's camouflage. But gibbons don't have a natural predator up in the trees, so where it comes from, who can tell?
The park doesn't know how much time Peanut spent with her own mother before being cruelly taken for the pet trade, so it's hard to say how much of her instinct is nurture or nature. But from these early stages, it looks like she's going to be the perfect mum. Dad Pung-Yo may be quite young too, but he seems to know just what his role is.
Pung-Yo has either been very severely told off on day 1, or he's doing a really nice job. He's just stayed away. He really hasn't had a lot of contact with Peanut for a while. In the first 2-3 days, nowhere near her. Second day, having a quick peer. You all right? Yeah, okay, I'm staying over here. I'm out of the way, though. And today, they've actually been playing and grooming. And he's like a little kid, though. He's getting bored, and he wants his attention, and he's not used to not having attention and someone to play with. So he's happy, but I just want to make sure that baby's happy, too.
Over at the chimp nursery, there's a young female who is having the time of her life. Johnny is quite a self-centered little chimp and can be a little precious. But she's also a sensitive individual, and when things get lively, she tends to keep out of the way. Recently, there's been a real change in the 7-year-old, and she's become a confident young chimp who's happiest in the thick of things. It could be because her only other female peer recently moved out, so Johnny doesn't have anyone to compete with. Also, at 7, she's starting to mature. Johnny is showing a slight sexual swelling. This could bring on a change in behaviour. Living with Johnny is a male chimp called Seamus. It'll be very interesting to see how Seamus reacts to her maturing. Though he's such a silly chimp, it's hard to believe he would know what to do with her. 5-year-olds Ben and Pip are gradually building up their confidence. They haven't been in the big outside enclosure for long. It used to be Pip who was the bravest of the pair, but now they've changed roles with Ben leading the way. For Pip, being female means she's cautious and considers the implications of being outside. She's well aware that her fellow chimps aren't always well behaved, but she probably worries a little too much. Johnny, on the other hand, couldn't be any happier, and these days she even has the privilege of being pampered by the dominant female. While Johnny enjoys this newfound confidence, down at the other end of the park, baby orangutan Dinda is about to embark on her new life with her orang family.
Hello, don't look at me like that.
She was rejected by her own mum, Roro. So a few weeks ago, the park tried to see if another adult female, Xiao Kuai, would care for her. Initially, the plan started well, but Dinda struggled to breastfeed, so the pair had to be separated. Instead, she's going to live with the Nursery orangutan group. Last week, she met adult female Ame, who will hopefully become her new foster mum.
That's worth a sweetie. If that isn't worth a sweetie, I don't know what is.
As the meeting went well, she's now ready for the next big step, encountering her whole new family in the orangutan nursery.
Of course, Dinda's at the age now where she's just beginning to take an interest in life around her. You know, that age where all of a sudden she's aware of there are other things to do other than eat and sleep and poo. So she's beginning to push herself up and look at people and show interest in whatever's going on around her. So again, this is a good time to try and influence her to think orang rather than Mike. And here's an orang.
Meeting adults is one thing. A bigger challenge is the boisterous youngsters, especially Aris.
No, don't taste the baby. You're not going to eat it.
Ame is the foster mum of the orang nursery. She loves babies, so hopefully she'll be the perfect mum to Dinda.
Hello. Hello. Don't you do that. Don't be a madman. You're a nutter, you are. You tasting her for a reason? No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. Don't be silly, boy. I think he probably is just what he is. He's a very rough little lad. But that's okay. We love him anyway.
Everyone seems to be taking a keen interest in Dinda. Or is it Jeremy? Ame has no milk, so Jeremy will still have to come in at feeding times. But hopefully Ame and the other orangs can offer Dinda the rest of the support she needs. Xiaoning likes everything her own way, and if she's not the centre of attention, she'll make sure she soon is.
Excuse me, no, you used to have these sort of feeds, but you're not anymore. Go on, get out of it. She's desperately trying to get all this down before she loses it. Good, go and annoy someone else. Oh, gone. Oh, God. No, it's gone, it's empty, look, nothing. Believe me, it's all gone. Oh, we're going to have a temper tantrum. Oh, talk about big baby. You are a brat. You're a spoiled brat. Look. Go over. Hey, no, stop it. Stop it. Let me just... I know what I can find you. Come here. You're... Yes, please. Here, hang on a minute. It's all right, Mike. I'll stuff it down my shirt out of the way. It's gone now. No bottle. What bottle? Don't worry. Hey, look, do you want a sweet?
Jeremy knows the way to a primate's heart is sweets. And as they only get them on very special occasions, they are all eager for their share.
Ame, come over here, look. I've got sweeties. Oh, I thought that might get you over. Here we go. Hey, good girl. Now come back. Didn't buy me much, did it? That's sweet.
It's a good thing that Ame isn't paying much attention to Dinda. If she was too dominant, it would make it difficult for Jeremy to feed her. And despite the cold shoulder, Ame is much happier being foster mum to the youngsters than living with adults.
We need now to make this happen on a daily basis, and so that everybody can get used to everybody, and then Dinda can form her own place within this group. And, you know, then we'll have, as usual, we'll have the evolution of the group will revolve around that, won't we?
Living in the middle of Monkey World is a group of 4 capuchin monkeys. 17-year-old Gizmo has been one of the park's most challenging individuals to rehabilitate. Unfortunately, some of the worst cases of abuse are right here in England. Gizmo was one of them. Jim and Alison were made aware of him 2 years ago. They were contacted by the Ipswich Environmental Protection Officer, Elisa Davis. It's her job to inspect the living conditions of wild animals kept as pets. She felt that living a solitary existence in a filthy shed with no heat was not acceptable. Gizmo had even begun eating away at his own tail.
Just terrible. He's already lost a fair amount of his tail. The question is, how much more will Mike Nathan have to remove in order to clean it up and tidy it up?
Sadly, Gizmo did have to lose another 3 inches. But now, 2 years later, his tail has healed and he's finally managing to relax and settle in with his fellow capuchins. The primate care staff had to work very hard, and for keeper Julie, this long battle has been totally worthwhile.
We managed to get all 4 capuchins together. Got Tom, Terry, TJ, and finally Gizmo. Obviously, Tom, Terry, and TJ have all lived together before, Gizmo being the odd one out, and he has been a very fragile monkey. It's taken him a while to adjust to being a monkey and actually learning how to communicate with these guys and learn how to actually be the capuchin that he is. But he's getting there, and it's really wonderful to see him out and about with the other guys, although at the moment we have to admit that he's not tending to spend too much time with them. He's trying to stay a little bit further away from them, but each day he gets more and more confident, and each day he gets a little bit closer. When you get one that's had such an experience as Gizmo, that he's really quite messed up, it really does play a bit of an effect on the rest of the group, because they don't understand his body language, they don't understand what he's doing. Sometimes they'll misread. All of them have actually come from backgrounds where they're never going to be normal capuchins, so they've all got their own little quirks and their own little stereotypical behaviours, so he will never be the monkey he should have been. All he can possibly be is the monkey he's striving to be, and he is getting more and more wonderful each day.
The newest monkey to join the park is stump-tailed macaque, Coco. Before coming to Monkey World, she lived alone in a cage for 20 years. But her life is about to change. Today she will meet another macaque. Integrating Coco is vital for her rehabilitation, and the team thought very hard about who she should meet first. They picked Gerald, with his gentle nature. No one knows if Coco had any macaque social skills, so anything could happen.
My ideal introduction is boring, when they ignore each other. You know, this sort of shouting eureka and going and giving somebody a big hug and all that sort of stuff, it's dodgy stuff, because it does happen, but it's a recipe for, if it's that emotional from the word go, then it can very easily go the other way. No, we've got Gerald waiting up there in the top area, and we're just going to let him down. We're just going to let him down next to Coco, and then gauge the reaction, and then basically make it up as we go along. If it's all positive, put them together, or we'll just see how it goes. Come on, Gerald. Come on, big boy.
You are good boy.
Gerald is interested in his new neighbour, and his initial reactions through the mesh are positive. Luckily, it seems that despite her 20 years of solitary confinement, Coco does have some innate behaviour.
She's lip smacking to him. She recognised what he is.
She's more interested in.
She knows what he is, though. Come on, Gerald.
So far, the meeting has gone well, so Jeremy opens the slide to allow them full contact.
Well, that's perfect, really, isn't it? She totally proved that she knows she's a macaque. When he came down, she instantly did the submissive lip-smacking gesture. That was textbook. She knows what she is. Don't you? Yes. Of course you do. But that was perfect. She behaved so perfectly. I mean, he's a gentleman anyway, which is great. That's why we chose him.
But unfortunately, Coco's macaque behaviour isn't as advanced as Gerald would like. And although he's a gentleman, he's becoming more and more frustrated by her lack of social skills.
You saw that then. He sort of did his walk by, and then he got up on the perch and did a He-Man, pose. I think she could have been a little bit more impressed. The worrying thing now is that she doesn't really know what to do, so she might give him the wrong message because she's so socially ignorant.
Gerald keeps trying to get Coco's attention, but it's not working, and he's getting more and more offended that his displays are not impressing her. He shows her he's angry, which confuses Coco.
Gerald? I'll have to break this up now.
Their squabble is quickly stopped and the pair are separated. Gerald goes back outside with the rest of the group, leaving Jeremy and a bewildered Coco to gather their thoughts.
The problem is she wasn't alarmed. She ought to realise that, she's been the dominant animal in her life because she's the only animal, and she has to realise that there is a pecking order here, and as the new kid on the block, you're going to be pretty low. We had positive interaction and then it went negative, so if we just do a lot of little introductions like that and encourage the positive and discourage the negative, then hopefully it will all happen in the not too distant future.
Back with capuchin Gizmo, Elisa Davis, the environmental protection officer who helped rescue him, has come to see how he's getting on. It's the first time she's seen him in 2 years.
So different. His coat is shiny. He looks fatter, he looks happy. He's got fur on him, but the actual tail looks fatter. It's got all fur over it. He just looks a completely different monkey.
Although Gizmo was neglected, he was actually being legally kept. Anyone in Britain can own one of these precious primates with the appropriate licence.
He had been previously licensed by the council for the past few years, previously to somebody obviously that I took over their job. I can't obviously comment on, the state he was in then or how long he'd been like that. But when I saw him, it just wasn't right. If we'd left Gizmo where he was, I don't know how long he would have survived. I'm so pleased to see him like this, really am. When I first saw him there, it was just heartbreaking, but to see him now, it's just so great.
It's nearly bedtime for the park's residents, and for the youngest members of the chimp nursery, Ash and Rodders, nightfall means an exciting new adventure. The pair are now a year old, and they'll soon live with the chimp nursery full-time. So animal manager Jeremy is keen for foster mum Sally to meet them. Sally is the dominant female of her group, and she loves babies. She's made it her role to care for all the infants who pass through the nursery. She teaches them about the complexities of chimp life before they move on to an adult group. She's been the perfect teacher, but lately it looks like she's been losing her status.
Because Sally she's a spoilt brat, and she isn't really bothered about the older youngsters, i.e. Ben and Pip. They've grown up a bit now. It's only babies that Sally really does. And of course, Seamus and Johnny are even older, so they're even more independent. And Lulu really is the policeman as far as those four are concerned, not Sally. So she's sort of evolved away, she's evolved herself out of a job. Sally's a bit like a fish out of water. She hasn't got the status in the group that she has when she's got little ones.
Jeremy hopes Ash and Rodders are exactly what Sally needs to regain her status. This evening will be their first overnight with Sally.
It's actually going to be good for her if I can sort of help cement a relationship between these two little ones and Sally. Then her status will benefit big time within the rest of the group. She's back in charge again, because at the moment she isn't really in charge. And we do like Sally to be in charge. Don't we, Sal?
Chimps, like most animals, can't resist a snack. So Jeremy has prepared a fruit basket full of their favourite goodies. Just like human babies, these two are wary of any change in routine. But Sally's a pro at this and leaves the pair to relax while she helps herself to the picnic. Gradually, Ash and Rodders realise that having a new roommate is quite good fun. Full of fruit, Sally again shows her chimp wisdom by building a huge nest. She's ready for sleep and tries to encourage the youngsters to join her in the comfy creation. But just like most little ones, sleep is the furthest thing from their mind. It's a good job Sally enjoys looking after babies, because it looks like she is in for a sleepless night. Next time, baby woolly monkey Julio leaves his life living with humans.
Tomorrow night, we've decided, is the first night for the rest of his life that he will hopefully stay the night with woolly monkeys.
And there's a shocking exit from the park for a capuchin monkey family. 18 months after their rescue, a court order means they have to leave. This is Monkey World, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. With every animal comes a story. Some funny, some shocking. Dramas great and small. Today on Monkey Life, it's time for baby woolly monkey Julio to leave his life living with humans.
Tomorrow night, we've decided, is the first night for the rest of his life that he will hopefully stay the night with woolly monkeys.
And there's a shocking exit from the park for a capuchin monkey family. 18 months after their rescue, a court order means they have to leave. Monkey World is involved with a number of endangered species breeding programs. So far, 11 babies have been born as a result of them. Unfortunately, 4 were rejected by their mothers, so they had to be hand-reared by the primate care staff.
Turn around like this.
7 months ago, Alison took on the care of baby woolly monkey Julio. For the past 2 months, he's been introduced slowly during the day to his family in the woolly monkey house. In the evenings, he goes home with Alison or Mike. They have to make sure that while he's still so small, he's getting exactly the right nutrients he needs to grow properly. But tonight will be his last living with humans before he joins his woolly monkey family for good.
You can see he's sort of quite grown up. It's actually going to be his 210th day tomorrow, which makes it his 7-month-old birthday. He's physically big enough. He's feeding himself now very well. And he's getting on so well with the other woolly monkeys that it's time that he stays with them, really. And the first hurdle to that step is not just abandoning him, because that would be psychologically quite tough on him, is we'll get him to stay overnight with him. So tomorrow night, we've decided, is the first night for the rest of his life that he will hopefully stay the night with woolly monkeys. And I think he's going to be thinking, come on, time to go home, where's Mike or Alison? But yeah, that's it. He's going to tuck up with them, and I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that he and Lena tuck up together. And if they do, he'll have no problem whatsoever.
Julio has grown into a confident little boy. He plays wherever he wants to, and the other woolly monkeys are very happy to let him.
He just pushes right past them. You know, they can be eating, and he gets in there to see if there's anything he wants. If he's walking through the tunnel, I mean, even Lavar, the dominant male, will step aside, step back for Julio to come through the tunnel. Yes, we're talking about you. So, you know, like babies in almost all primate groups, he's the cherished individual. He is looked after and given everything and anything he wants because he's a baby, and they seem to have taken him on, assimilated him into the group as if he were their own. I'm just pleased for him that they've sort of taken to him as much as, you know, Mike and I did. So I think he'll do well in there.
Monkey World has a policy that any animal they rescue is free to stay at the park to live out their lives with others of their own kind in a natural environment. But this is all about to change. For the first time in the park's history, a court order means a group of primates have to leave. It's a family of capuchin monkeys who were rescued just 18 months ago. Alison is devastated by the decision. She was heavily involved in their rescue mission.
It all started out when an undercover officer from the RSPCA decided to reply to multiple articles that he saw in newspapers and magazines, proudly advertising the fact that they had a baby capuchin monkey that was captive born in UK that they were prepared to rip away at the tender young age of 3 months. They asked Jim's and my opinion on this. We gave them that, and the RSPCA decided to proceed with an undercover operation to actually offer to buy the baby monkey and to set up a sting situation where the baby was actually brought to them and sold to them.
Anyone in Britain can keep and sell a primate with the appropriate license. The current law for keeping exotic pets is now almost 100 years old. And while Jim and Alison continue to try and get the law changed, it's the primates who suffer.
We've been asked to meet with them on the motorway near Chippenham to meet an animal dealer, a guy who's been breeding capuchin monkeys for sale and selling them for as much as 3,500 pounds. That's like $7,000. He's taking away a baby capuchin from its mom, which is how he sells them. And the RSPCA agrees with us that that is cruel, and the one thing you can do in this country is if somebody commits an act of unnecessary cruelty to an animal, that's illegal.
Well, we've just pulled into the service station where the meeting's meant to happen, and now we're just sort of waiting. It's really sort of the tense time because you don't know what's going to happen. Is the guy going to actually show up? So is he going to come? Will he have the monkey? Will we actually be able to get the baby off of him before he freaks out and runs off? I don't know. So we're all actually staked out here in the car park waiting for this guy to show up and not knowing really what to expect. Bit tense.
10 minutes later, the dealer arrived. He admitted to having the baby capuchin monkey in his car, and the police confiscated it.
The police have actually just arrested the gentleman who's here, and we're just waiting for them to drive away now so that we don't cause a scene out in the middle of the car park here.
It's now officially in your custody, okay? Okay.
The RSPCA needed Alison and vet John Lewis to identify the baby and give a visual health check before they could leave.
Pip, sweet. Tiny little baby. Yeah, let John have a look.
There's no physical wounds on her, but there again, you wouldn't necessarily expect that. She's clearly scared. She's got that expression on her face which says, what the hell is going on?
But she's quite young, isn't she?
She's very young, yeah, without doubt. And if you look at her now, she's clinging on to anything at all. It ought to be a mother, but she's just hanging on to terry cloth or whatever it is in there.
There's actually a cuddly toy in the box for her to cling to and stuff, but right now, like John says, she's so freaked out just by everything that it's going to take her a little while to calm down.
But this was only half of the story. While the dealer was met by the police, Monkey World's animal manager Jeremy and an RSPCA team in Wales were on the way to the dealer's parents' house. They wanted to see if they could find the baby's mother, as they didn't think mum and baby should be apart.
Now the next bit, fingers crossed, is over in Wales. How's Jeremy doing? So, got the baby, now we just need to get mum.
Clearly, we've got to get this baby back with its mum. So, first thing is to identify the mum. And if that's, not knowing what we're going into, that could be anything. I mean, if there's only one female, then it's obviously her. If there's a dozen females, then it might not be obvious if one's lactating, if one's got milk. So we're going to have to make some decisions when we get there. Equally, if it's a family group, a small family group, we don't want to split the family group up. So because we don't know, we've got to be prepared for everything.
If that leaves just the father, if he's there, then we'll take the father as well, because it would be cruel to leave one on its own. So the baby will be coming back to Monkey World if we're successful. Hopefully mom and maybe even dad. If there's any more, they're gonna have to stay.
With the baby safely en route to Monkey World, vet John Lewis also made the journey to Wales to join Jeremy and the team in the search for the baby's family.
Yeah, that must be mum and this is dad. So, not happy about taking the female, not the male. It's not going to be a happy bunny at all. There's no way that they can be living separately. No. So we're looking at a family group, and therefore it's, they either stay together or go together, and I don't think they ought to stay here.
The situation is we've got a family group of animals. In fact, the baby's been taken from the mother, but it's actually in with the mother's in with the father. They're in reasonable physical condition. The facilities they're in are not terribly cramped, but it's filthy, and there's no facility for separating them or dealing with them in any way at all. Given that we think the baby's been taken away far too young from its mother, and so in order not to leave one animal, one adult on his own, all three are going to be confiscated until the outcome of the legal proceedings. So we have to take the male and the female now.
It's been 18 months since the Monkey World team confiscated the capuchin family. Since then, they've been living happily all together in a more natural environment. But recently, the case has been to court to decide whether the monkey's owner had treated them cruelly, and now they have a ruling.
What the RSPCA were hoping is that they could prove that the standards in which and the methods in which this man was using to breed and sell his monkeys were indeed actually cruel. So regardless of the law being legal for somebody to buy and sell the monkey, what he was doing was an act of cruelty, and that was their case. So it was wholly unnecessary, basically, for this man to breed a monkey and then to forcibly, when the mother's looking after it perfectly and feeding a 3-month-old infant, to forcibly tear them apart just so he can make a sale. The legal system, of course, takes quite a long time, and I think it was about 9 months or even more before the court case was actually brought to trial. So, we had Bonnie and Clyde, and by that point we had named the baby Andy at the park for quite a long time, and everybody grew very fond of them, and they adapted magnificently to their new environment, flying around their enclosure, playing wildly together, perfect family unit.
But the court eventually ruled that even though suffering had taken place, the dealer had not caused unnecessary suffering by taking the baby away from its mother to sell it. And now, all the capuchins have to be returned to their owner.
It breaks my heart for them is the fact that, our keepers spent more than a year looking after those monkeys, making sure that they were happy and healthy, and they were. I had to tell them that they had to give them up. And, we're very proud of the fact that monkeys and apes that come here have a good retirement home, and that it's usually forever. Sadly for Bonnie and Clyde, we were ordered by the courts to return them. We're still here, and we're still going to fight and campaign to stop the trade. And I don't expect that Bonnie and Clyde will be the last capuchins that we're asked to come and assist with.
Yeah, personally, I'm just hoping that with something of this nature that the people who actually enforce the legislation, the law, can, look at it, be more open-minded, be more considerate to the actual emotional welfare of a family group. That family group of capuchin monkeys are having a nice time together. They love each other, they're sound, they're solid. If only that, then this hasn't all been in vain, because it's all a horrible thing to have to go through. It's dreadful for the monkeys. I mean, we're supposed to be the intelligent animal, for goodness sake. I mean, really, it's a bit of a farce, isn't it? It really is. It's just so sad to me. People wonder why I isolate myself here. When you look out there, oh, goodness me, I don't want any part of it, thank you very much. My conscience is clear.
In the main orangutan enclosure, Tuan and his group are busy with 2 puzzle feeders. Orangutans are highly intelligent animals and enjoy problem solving to get their food. First on the scene is 11-year-old female Lucky, and she's keen to check out the new objects. But big male Tuan is still far more interested in his lunch. Roro has spotted the second feeder, but frustration seems to be getting the better of her. Lucky has quickly worked it all out. On the menu today is apple, lemon curd, and peanut butter. Hanging the pole from the frame makes the orangs work for their treats. Their long arms and short legs make them perfectly designed for tackling the feeding poles. And at last, Roro's cracked the puzzle. But 22-year-old Tuan can only sit and watch. The girls are dominating the feeder, and he's just too heavy. Female orangutans weigh half as much as the males, which makes them extremely agile when swinging from the flimsy branches in the wild. But with the treats going fast, Tuan is determined not to be left out. He tries an alternative strategy: muscle power and a firm jaw. But it's no good. On the other pole, Lucky uses more successful tactics to get at the prize. With nothing more than a mouthful of splinters, Tuan heads off to join Lucky on her pole. And it looks like things have finally clicked with the big man. And he gets his turn, tasting the treats. Over in Hananya's group, concern is growing for one of the female chimps, 10-year-old Jolene. She's been unwell for a couple of weeks, and with a strange collection of symptoms that come and go. And unfortunately, she's just not improving.
She's acted very depressed. Some mornings she is quite slow. Some mornings there's a bit of stiffness about her. And there's this complication or this range of symptoms where little stiffness, but it seems to come and go. We have flare-ups with the skin where we get all of a sudden swelling, and she's lost hair on her head. We're getting swelling around the eyes, some swelling around the forehead. Now, sometimes around now her ears. It seems like it's progressing. She's been given a range of treatments already. But right now, she's in the middle of a real bout of whatever this is. It's not nice for her, but she is having a problem right now. John and Mike are here right now, and now's the time to find out. John, you see the difference in her now, don't you, than when you were last here? It's pretty dramatic.
When I last saw her, Jim, she had no swelling, and it was just, it really was a case of telling me, well, you should have seen her last week. And now she's got obvious swelling. I've got something to work with. I've got something to biopsy. We've got an animal that's actually in the throes of some kind of clinical problem, and that's when blood pictures are more likely to show what it is. So, yeah, it's more to work with.
Chimps, like many animals, are good at hiding if they're in pain. It's a defense mechanism. The team are worried that Jolene is extremely ill, but she's just not showing it.
I don't think she's going to do it.
Jolene is darted with anaesthetic, and once she is asleep, a full investigation can take place. John needs blood samples so he can test for infections and organ function. He'll also do a white blood count to test for immune problems. X-rays may also shed light on the stiffness in Jolene's joints. John will also take skin biopsies from the affected areas.
Very old. That is a grooming patch.
Some chimps do get grooming patches. Grooming is a popular and important activity in chimp society, and some lower-ranking members get over-groomed, which can lead to distinct patches of hair loss. But Jolene is a well-established female, so it's unlikely these patches are from over-grooming.
But this, you see,
This,
here,
It's those ones.
do they just spontaneously occur? do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's one here as well.
See there, that must be a fresh one, surely, this one here. Had you seen this before? Don't suppose you have.
No.
And there's one right on the top of the head here. Little area of ulceration.
The skin samples are cut away so they can be sent for analysis, but the size of some of the cuts require stitches. The team can be confident Jolene's had a comprehensive battery of tests. Now they'll keep their fingers crossed that the diagnosis is not life-threatening. Since it began, Monkey World has worked with 15 governments worldwide, and now they're about to break new territory. There's a chimpanzee that needs rescuing from Mexico. Bryan is 3 years old. He was stolen from the wild in West Africa and was being trained to be a beach photographer's prop. With the help of Jim, Alison, and animal conservationist Gloria Fraser, the authorities confiscated him. He's now safely living at an ecological park until he can come to Monkey World. It's been a year since the mission to rescue Bryan began, and it hasn't been easy. Firstly, nature intervened when Hurricane Wilma hit Cancun. It took several weeks before anyone could confirm that Bryan survived the storm. But since then, official paperwork and transatlantic bureaucracy has been a much bigger obstacle.
Gloria, it's Jim. You have all the paperwork for Bryan. You need a letter from us?
Yes. I don't understand why, but the law in Mexico is very difficult sometimes to understand.
We'll send you an email today.
But every time you go there, they want something different.
Will that be the final letter?
That, who knows?
We found ourselves in a position where the British government, trying to do their job, asked so many questions of another government. You know, it became the long, lengthy list that what would happen is, where you thought you were going to get them quickly, you see it drifted away. Because there's 10 questions, 20 questions, 30 questions that aren't going to help. And eventually, we got so frustrated by all this and so worried about Bryan that we met with the officials in the British government. We met with our MP, Jim Knight, who organized the meeting. And we've come to an agreement. We've all accepted that when it's welfare, when it's suffering, do it right, but do it quick.
And with arrangements in place, Jeremy can finally begin work on a special travel box to transport Bryan back to Monkey World. Next time, the team make the 5,000-mile journey to Mexico to meet Bryan.
Hey, Bryan!
Good boy. Come here. Good boy you are.
And it's not just this chimpanzee that needs their help. This is Monkey World, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. With every animal comes a story. Some funny, some shocking. Dramas great and small. Today on Monkey Life, Jim and Alison are on a special mission to Mexico. They are here to collect a lively 3-year-old chimp called Brian, who has been mistreated by his owner.
He's a very happy, very healthy little boy.
Jim gets to fulfill an ambition.
Best of luck, fellas.
And there's frustration when Alison tries to track down an adult chimp called Coco. Rescuing primates is a crucial part of Monkey World's work. So far, the park has rescued 118 primates with the help of 15 governments around the world. Today, they're about to break new territory. Jim and Alison Cronin have travelled 5,000 miles away to Cancun in Mexico. It's their first rescue mission in this country, and it's for a young male chimpanzee called Brian.
Gracias.
Sorry. Go ahead, sorry.
What?
It's all yours. Oh. He's got his mom. Oh, he's a good boy.
The mission to rescue Brian began a year ago. It hasn't been easy.
Good boy.
In October 2005, Hurricane Wilma hit Cancun. It took several weeks before anyone could confirm that Brian had survived the storm. And then, Jim and Alison were faced with pages of official paperwork and frustrating transatlantic bureaucracy. Finally, with the help of local conservationists Gloria Fraser and Sarah Rincon, Jim and Alison managed to get the Mexican authorities to confiscate Brian. Since then, he's been living at Escaret Eco Park. It's a 5-hectare conservation site, and a wide variety of native species live there. But chimpanzees are not native to Mexico, and it's important for Brian to grow up with other chimps, so Monkey World were asked to give him a home.
Come here. Good boy.
It seems the 3-year-old is already making quite an impression on Jim and Alison.
No.
They will have daily meetings with Brian. It's important he gets to know them because it will make it easier for him to settle back into life at Monkey World.
Got him.
Yeah, I know.
I got him in a spot. Oh, he's a good boy. You know what I'm really happy about is he's a very happy, very healthy little boy. And it's great when a place like this has gone to so much trouble. He's been loved, he's been looked after, he looks terrific, and he's a lot of fun. That's a happy boy. Drink break.
Brian's story is typical of many chimps used in the tourist industry. He was stolen from the wild in West Africa and was being trained as a beach photographer's prop. He may have had a difficult start in life, but he's a very lively and sociable chimp, and Jim thinks he could make the perfect playmate for one of the park's cheekiest residents.
If I had to find one chimp that Seamus is gonna think it's like his little brother, it's like perfect for him. So the only difference with him and Seamus, he's got no teeth and he's far too clean. Far too clean. Seamus is gonna muddy this boy up.
And back at the park in Brian's future home, Seamus is causing havoc, as usual. It will be fantastic for Seamus to have a new playmate, but hopefully not all of his naughty behaviour will rub off on Brian. The rest of the group are enjoying a new delicacy: young coconuts, which have extra soft flesh inside. It's the first time they've tried it. The chimps are always interested in anything new, especially food. 5-year-old Pip is usually quite shy, but even she is curious about this new treat. She takes some from Johnny. Johnny can be unpredictable, so it's very positive that she allows Pip to share. Seamus has stopped terrorising adult female Lulu and has decided to see if she'll share with him. The little hooligan is used to getting spoiled by foster mum Sally, but Lulu isn't as much of a pushover. And she won't respond well to being challenged. Seamus is a determined young chimp who likes to get his own way. But today, even a tasty treat isn't worth a showdown with feisty Lulu. Foraging for food is an important part of chimp life. In the wild, they can cover up to 4 miles a day in search of something to eat. And a young chimp is totally dependent on its mum. They will learn everything from her, including how to forage and what food is safe to eat. Lulu and Sally are the only adults in the group, so the youngsters will learn from them. And although treats can cause squabbles, it's lovely to see the others join them without tempers getting flared. Hopefully Bryan will fit in perfectly with this friendly bunch, as long as he's not learning the ropes from Seamus. But back in Mexico, Alison's finding out that Bryan already has quite a lively personality.
Bryan!
He doesn't want to let her out of his enclosure.
You're not gonna let me go! Are you not gonna let me go? Bryan has decided I can't leave. We'll just have to trick you somehow, won't we?
Bryan's found his mom. Bryan absolutely found his mom. He's crazy about Alison.
We get on well.
He walked in there, and Bryan just went, "That's it, this is over." And Bryan just loved her.
In a few days, Jim and Alison will be taking Bryan back to Monkey World. But before they go, there's something else they need to do. An adult female chimp called Coco needs their help too. Alison's been following her plight for over 3 years.
I've been receiving letters and photographs from tourists who come to Cancun on holiday and see Coco being paraded down the beaches in the midday sun, running from umbrella to umbrella, stealing people's drinks. And this photographer apparently takes Coco and sort of pushes her on top of tourists for photographs, asks for $10 for every photograph, and so he's working her on the beaches every day. I think even Coco is getting a bit tired of it because several of the reports have said that Coco has actually grabbed hold of women on the beach or even out on the street in Cancun and sort of tried to bite them. Sadly for Coco, she's had all of her teeth knocked out in the front, so when she tries to bite somebody, she doesn't do any harm. But nonetheless, you know, that side of her chimp behavior is coming out and she's objecting.
Coco is actually owned by the same man who bought Bryan. But because Bryan was so young, he had a very lucky escape.
I think the problem here is that the Mexican authorities see it is extremely difficult to try to confiscate this chimpanzee that's 20 years old. But when Bryan appeared, and all of a sudden we've got the baby to one day replace Coco, they've grabbed Bryan, and the question really is, will they, can they, take that next step to do something about Coco?
It's personal now. We know Coco. I've got photographs of Coco. I could pick Coco out of a lineup. I don't think we'll rest until we get Coco confiscated and then back to the park.
Jim and Alison are desperate to catch a glimpse of Coco. They want to see for themselves the sort of life she's leading. So they search all the places Coco has been spotted. And at last, as night falls, they get a lead on where she will be tonight.
We've been going through the shopping centers, the beaches, in the midday sun, doing exactly what Coco does, and I can tell you right now, it's hard, hot work, but finally, at the end of today, we had a tip-off.
There's miles of beach here. There's a lot of shops, a lot of places you can be at any given time. To find out that we might know where she's gonna be at 7 o'clock tonight, that's phenomenal. If we see her tonight, and when we see her tonight, she's been working since this morning. Now, apparently, she works from 7 at night till 10 at night. So poor Coco is working at 12, 13, 14-hour day, and that's the life that she leads.
But Coco does not show up. Although they're disappointed, there is some good news. The police are going to raid Coco's owner's house. They might even confiscate her. and they've asked Jim and Alison to come with them. Coco is a fully grown chimp, and the police are worried that she could become violent. They need support from some experts in chimp behavior.
We've been told that actually on Monday the police would like us to accompany them and actually go to the Mound's house and either have a look at Coco. We're not quite clear what they're saying yet. It's not quite straightforward whether they want us to just have a look at her and consider her circumstances, or whether they simply want to take her on Monday and take her to Escaret to be dealt with in future.
In the morning, there's more bad news. The police are forced to cancel their plans to confiscate Coco. The police reassure Jim and Alison they will not give up on the adult chimp, but they can only take Coco from her owner if they witness her being worked. It might take another year for them to pin down Coco's owner, but Alison's already waited over 3 years and has no intention of giving up. For now, though, they need to return their attentions to Bryan and his safe journey back to Monkey World. But no matter how far they are from Monkey World, they always keep in contact. And today, animal manager Jeremy needs to talk to them about chimpanzee Jolene.
Hello.
Hello?
Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Just going to fill you in on Jolene.
She has been unwell for a couple of weeks and had a series of tests to try and work out what was wrong. But the test results are back now, and they haven't shown up anything sinister. She even began to pick up, and the team were hopeful she was on the mend. But now, she's in decline again. So today the vet has given her a steroid injection.
Come on.
This will reduce any inflammation she has, provide pain relief, and act as a general pick-me-up.
Since then, she has actually picked up and she started eating, and so we've managed to get the antibiotic into her.
Okay.
And we're just giving her a lot of fuss and attention and making her comfortable and happy here in the bedrooms.
Although everyone is pleased Jolene is feeling better, she will need to be closely monitored. The steroids are only tackling her symptoms and not the cause of her illness.
She's responding.
Okay.
She's responding really well, and she's talking a lot, and I'm a lot happier than what I was yesterday.
All right, hey, hang in there. Keep everything going.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see you later. I'll call you as soon as something else is going on. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. It's really nice to know he's there holding the fort.
Jeremy was really concerned, and sort of, when Jeremy finally admits that he's really concerned, you better start moving.
We're gonna have to consider more blood tests, and we're really gonna have to sit down and talk with John and Mike and try to get a handle on this thing. So, because we actually don't know, in the end, what her problem is right now.
Happy that Jeremy has everything under control back home, Jim and Alison can concentrate on their challenge. It's time for their second meeting with Bryan. It's taken a year to get all the paperwork in order for Bryan to come to England. And during this time, he's been very happy at Escaret Eco Park.
Whoa, he's a good boy.
He may be happy now, but when Bryan opens his mouth, it's a glimpse into the life he used to lead. All of his teeth, apart from 4 molars, have been knocked out.
We've seen it before with many primates where the front teeth get removed, but never all of them. So we were trying to figure out how somebody could have, it would have been a big operation to remove every single tooth in the poor little guy's head. Yeah, go get Jim. Nightmare even as a beach photographer's prop, which just goes to show why the teeth get pulled out, why they get put on drugs, why they get beat up. The whole thing is simply an unmitigated nightmare and means that Bryan was made an orphan, his mother killed. And for what?
This would not be a fun life for Bryan. It would be long, it would be 16-hour days, and there's a good chance, that he could die young because of it. And it's because of Escaret and places like Escaret that we can work with, that we can make it stop, and we can give Bryan a home.
Escaret doesn't usually care for chimpanzees, but it's clear they've done an excellent job looking after Bryan. They specialise in giving sanctuary to native species, and like Jim and Alison, their conservation work is very important to them. They're keen to show them the work they do with sea turtles.
And one of the things that Alison and I found really exciting was the opportunity to work with another organization, to work with Escaret and see what one of their programs is like. Very, very different from what we do, but kind of the similar.
Yeah.
You know, it's very much, there's a lot of similarities because it's about rescue, it's about rehabilitation, and it's also about the release of the sea turtles back into the ocean.
Escaret has an ongoing program dedicated to the conservation of threatened turtles. Every 2 months, they take 1 or 2 nests from the beach back to the park. This not only protects the unborn babies, it also educates people about them. And a couple of weeks after hatching, the baby turtles are released into the sea. To date, they've released over 29,000 baby turtles back to the ocean. And Jim and Alison are about to see some of the lucky ones that made it.
I think for Alison and I mean, it's just been amazing. I mean, this was really one of my first loves, and somewhere along the line, you know, I left the idea of being in the ocean and studying the ocean and found myself with primates. So this is kind of a dream come true for us.
The team has discovered a viral infection, which is isolated to this bay. It's making the turtles ill. To combat the problem, they need to do regular health checks.
They've gotten the measurements, the length, the width, fecal samples, 2 different kinds of blood tests. I mean, it's a really thorough job, and it's not easy work. You know, you get huffing and puffing here pretty quick. They're incredibly powerful. Those flippers are so strong. We are so pleased that we could really be here.
With the assistance of Escaret, hopefully this population of turtles will continue to thrive. And as night falls, it's time for an even bigger treat for Jim, releasing the next generation of baby sea turtles into the ocean.
Best of luck, fellas.
Only a few of these babies will make it to adulthood. Many will get eaten by seabirds, crabs, and fish. But the rest will disappear off to grow up in the ocean. They won't be seen again until they are young adults.
It's just amazing to be able to participate in something like this and see it through from beginning to end, and to earlier today see some individuals who have done exactly what these little guys did tonight and know that they're out there and actually surviving and doing well. It's just fantastic.
Oh, wow. Wasn't that something?
It's been an emotional trip for Jim and Alison.
Hola, sweet pea. Hey.
Although they are thrilled to be taking Bryan home with them, they are frustrated that they've had to leave without even seeing Coco. Alison has been fighting for Coco for over 3 years, and she is not going to give up. But for now, everyone is focused on 3-year-old Bryan's safe journey to England.
Okay.
Easy. He needs to be in the shade.
We need...
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's not sure what's going on. There's so many people around and everything. But you can see he fits into the box very nicely. And you can't be too worried if you're prepared to eat your banana. Good boy.
Bryan may well fit in his box, but it seems the box may not fit into the plane.
Box has been here for a long time. But they've just switched planes going back. And now they were worried about the width of the box. And I'm thinking, you are kidding me.
Zach Tidy from the travel company is on hand to sort the problem out.
So the actual hold door is 38 inches wide, which is pretty much the width of this crate. But if we do find when we get there it is too tight to get the aft hold, we've got like a plan B.
Oh, okay, so
we'll
he's
get him
in.
on. We'll definitely get him on.
I mean,
one way or the other.
Bryan is understandably nervous of what's going on around him.
We're gonna unload him.
And when the team make it to the airport, the temperature and the tempers reach boiling point.
He must go now. Hey, he must go now. He must go. It's too hot.
Vámonos.
Let's go. Come on, you have to go.
It's vital that Bryan is kept in the shade while the paperwork to allow him airside is sorted out.
The sun is still beating down. He must be in the shade. Everybody can say hello to him, but please put him in the shade. They're all just playing with the box.
Alison is desperate to make sure the 3-year-old is okay, but no one is allowed to accompany him while he goes through the cargo.
He will die.
He will die very fast in the sun.
He needs to be put in the shade, please.
They're not putting the box in the shade. Yes,
Yes,
we
I am a
must go.
doctor. Tell the man in the yellow he's still not in the shade. They are not putting the box in the shade.
She eventually persuades them to let her through.
You are the doctor. Go to the chipmunk, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Stay there.
Well, they've let Alison go through, which is very nice. Thank you very much. We don't have the right pass, really, to be in this area, but they've made an exception so that Alison can go through and stay with Bryan. Alison will now get Bryan in the shade. No one will get in her way. I mean, that's just a fact.
Jim and Alison have been on many rescue missions, but they never relax until the animals are safely back in the park.
Okay? Excellent.
In just a couple of days, Bryan will be living with the other chimps for the first time. And for Sarah Rincon, who has been instrumental in this rescue, it's the moment she's been waiting for.
You're very welcome.
Traernos a un medio ambiente similar al de ellos. Que Dios los bendiga y vamos a seguir rescatando animalitos. Eso queda como un compromiso.
We will take good care of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome to Bryan. I hope he really enjoys the flight with us.
Next time, Bryan makes it safely back to Monkey World and meets keeper Lee.
Hello.
And chimp Jolene takes a turn for the worse.
We're going in here to see if there's anything that's feasible to do. I'm frightened there isn't.
This is Monkey World, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. With every animal comes a story. Some funny, some shocking. Dramas great and small. Today on Monkey Life, toddler chimpanzee Bryan recovers from his 5,000-mile journey from Mexico. And there's a medical crisis for chimpanzee Jolene.
We're going in here as an emergency to see if there's anything that's feasible to do. I'm frightened there isn't.
Many of the primates rescued by Monkey World arrive with physical and psychological scars from their previous lives. It's the job of the primate care staff to rehabilitate them, and one of their priorities is settling the animals into family groups.
Little boy, say hello.
It's early morning and the newest arrival is ready for breakfast.
Hello. What you been doing?
3-year-old chimpanzee Bryan arrived late last night after a 5,000-mile journey from Mexico.
I spent the night to start with next door to him, and he was really calm. A little bit jet-lagged, waking up every couple of hours and investigating everything. But apart from that, he was, he had a good night.
Bryan was stolen from the wild in West Africa. He was found living in Mexico and confiscated by the authorities. He's still a toddler, so it's hoped that he hadn't suffered too much physical or psychological damage. Sadly, he had most of his teeth pulled out by his owner. But this hasn't affected his happy nature.
He's a really nice lad. He's full of character. I mean, you can see he's all over the place. He's not sat in one corner worrying at all. He's just really enjoying himself.
Bryan seems to love fruit, but he is a bit lazy and only eats it if it's peeled for him.
You want a grape?
This habit will have to change because once he joins the chimp nursery, breakfast will be self-service.
You're going to have to learn to do this yourself. We have another 59 chimps to look after as well, you know.
With breakfast over, there's one last job for headkeeper Lee. but Bryan thinks it's his first game of the day.
Make you all nice and soft.
Because of the climate he comes from, it's going to be far more humid than it is in this country. So what we do tend to find is that the skin will dry out slightly. So what we'll do is we use vegetable oil to put on the hands and feet, on the coat if we can. At this age, if you make it all nice, when he's an adult, it's not going to be a problem when we need to oil his hands or feet. I mean, his hair is absolutely lovely, his skin is absolutely lovely. You know, there's a couple of dry patches on his shoulders, but that's going to happen. But apart from that, and only having 3 teeth, he's really, really in good condition.
And for Bryan, the oil is also the perfect drink to wash down his breakfast. In the next few days, he'll have a full health check, and then he'll meet his new family, including resident tearaway 7-year-old Seamus.
He's going to be an excellent playmate for Seamus. Probably one of the things Seamus misses is that someone who's full of life and wants to get involved. Bryan's perfect. You know, he should fit in so well. Yeah, within a week of playing with Seamus, you're going to be horrible. You're going to be horrible. Oh.
There are 15 different species of primate at Monkey World. They all originate from a variety of habitats, from the forests of Africa to the jungles of South America and Asia. But one thing they all have in common is that they have larger brains than most other animals, which means they need lots to keep them occupied. Their wild cousins forage for food for most of the day, often travelling long distances between feeding sites. So here at the park, the primate care staff always try to find new and interesting ways to encourage the animals to work harder for their food. Today, Paddy's chimpanzee group are getting a puzzle feeder. Wedged in the holes are carrots, apples and peanut butter, perfect for keeping the troop busy. A chimpanzee's primary sense is sight, and it doesn't take long for 17-year-old Chatter to spot the feeders. The others are not far behind. Alpha male Paddy isn't very bright, and it looks like the feeder is a bit too challenging for him, so he's happy to let the females investigate. When food is concerned, it's every chimp for themselves, and a chimp's life would not be the same without some sort of squabble. 26-year-old Grisby soon works out her game plan. She tries to hog as much of the pole as possible. And, as usual, right in the thick of things is the youngest of the bunch. Eddie is 5 years old. She was born at the park and she's the only chimp to be successfully raised by her group from birth. She's desperate to get her hands on the treats, but Grisby's still determined to hog the pole. And now that Eddie is 5, she'll just have to wait her turn like the others. Eddie, the ambitious, is not going to give up that easily. But she is testing Grisby's patience. Eddie is beginning to realise that she's quickly losing her baby status privileges. Cheeky Gamba is also getting frustrated with Grisby's control over the feeder. He comes up with a plan to dislodge Grisby, but she's not going anywhere. Even second-in-command Jimmy has to wait patiently for his turn. But when alpha male Paddy decides it's his turn, Grisby reluctantly gives up. Male chimpanzees are larger and heavier than females, weighing 45 to 50 kilograms. But for once, Paddy's size doesn't give him an advantage, and he gives up before it gets embarrassing. In the park's woolly monkey house, life has completely changed for one of its new residents, baby Julio.
He's a fully functioning member of this woolly monkey group now, you know, and is still quite happy when I come and see him. Obviously, still quite clingy and wants to sort of have protection and attention and all of that. And so I think we've done really well. I think we've got a healthy, well-adjusted little woolly monkey that's part of a functioning group.
Alison spent 7 months hand-rearing Julio because his mother rejected him. But a few weeks ago, he spent his last night in the company of humans.
Very next morning, I brought him down here. We put him in, and he's never come home again. Julio's still getting 3 milk feeds a day, and he generally takes about 50 mils at a time. So when I come down and visit him, which is just about once a week now, it's not that often, just enough to know that I'm still here and I still care about him and love him dearly, and you know, he actually sort of bounces away after our visits, quite happy to join back with the other woolly monkeys, but clearly quite happy to have seen me and spent a bit of time with me as well. So we sort of have achieved the perfect balance. I mean, I'm quite surprised whether it's that Julio's just a progressive, lovely little monkey, or whether it's that we just got the timings just right on all of his transitions in life. He was young enough that he wasn't still hideously clingy to me, although he was clingy to me, but not too much so that he wasn't prepared to consider other options. And yet he was old enough that he was sort of able to sort of go in with the others and be a relatively happy little camper.
Julio now lives with 2 males and 3 females, including his own birth mother.
Susie and Lena love playing with him, and even his mom has taken a wee bit of interest in him, not too much. Good boy. Okay, little man.
Now, Julio will spend the rest of his life living with the other woolly monkeys, and one day he might even father a baby himself.
Are you hiding, Julio? Good boy. We'll see you later, little man.
Across the park in Hernania's chimp group, there's a medical emergency with one of the females.
Let's go.
She's vomiting. She's passing diarrhea, which has become bloody. She's got fluid in her abdomen, and we are very concerned as to why she's taken this turn of events. It's quite possible there's something really nasty happening inside her abdomen. She's a very unhappy animal. She's in pain relief. And we're going in here as an emergency to see if there's anything that's feasible to do. I'm frightened there isn't.
Over the last few weeks, the primate care staff noticed that 10-year-old female Jolene was becoming increasingly unwell. She was losing her hair. Her face was swollen. She had stiff joints, no appetite. She seemed depressed. A few days ago, she was anaesthetized so that the vets could start doing some basic medical tests. They took x-rays, blood tests, and skin biopsies, but the results were inconclusive. The only option now is to do the exploratory operation. In the medical room at Monkey World, chimpanzee Jolene is ready for surgery. She's only 10 years old, still quite young to be so ill. The staff are worried that she may have a tumour. She arrived at the park 7 years ago from a laboratory in Holland. 3 other females were with her. Although they weren't experimented on, the park is worried that Jolene's physical problems now may have been caused by starting life in such an unnatural environment.
This is weird, Jeremy, because given how she's behaving with the vomiting and everything else, you'd expect to see hugely inflamed guts, which you haven't got.
Looks quite normal, doesn't it?
So I'm deeply puzzled. I can't find anything in the way of an obvious tumour to account for the clinical signs we've had, but I've checked every organ that I can see and it looks normal, except that the stomach itself feels much firmer, thicker, and edematous. That means fluid within the tissue.
Did you see them both?
Mike decides he needs a second opinion. The original investigation was done by wildlife vet John Lewis, so a baffled Mike calls him from the operating theatre.
The guts don't look inflamed. Everything else is normal. So I'm at a loss. I mean, the stomach just does feel doughy, but more than that, I can't say. All right, well, I'm going to take a biopsy from the stomach anyway. Right, okay, well, I'll do that and then close her up. Okie dokes. It may be that by taking everything out and putting it back in again, sometimes in these situations, miracles happen, and that's what we're after. I'm going to take a sample of the stomach wall now, and we'll send that off and see what comes and continue to nurse her. But there's nothing else to explain my symptoms. So, let's close her up.
While Jolene comes round from the anaesthetic, Jeremy and the team will stay with her. In fact, until he's happy that she's beginning to recover, the team won't leave her side. Back with Paddy's group, and the puzzle feeder is still keeping the troop entertained. Grisby is still hogging the pole, and Gamba is still waiting for his turn. Alpha male Paddy waits for no one. He's decided to give the feeder another try, and Grisby finally has to learn to share the treats. Though it's unlikely simply biting the pole will get Paddy anything more than a mouthful of plastic. In chimpanzee society, youngsters like Eddie pick up life skills by watching and learning from others. There are some things worth learning from Dad, Paddy, and there are some things worth forgetting about. Eddie's mum Susie is close by, keeping an eye on her daughter. But the 5-year-old is still determined to get her share and plucks up enough courage to push her luck again with Grisby. In the wild, chimpanzees use stones and sticks as tools to help them get their food more easily. At the park, 26-year-old Buster seems to be one step ahead of the group. He's also using a useful tool. Sneaky Mickey has worked out an even better plan. Why do it yourself when Buster can do all the hard work for you? At last, Susie and her daughter Eddie have their turn on the puzzle feeder. Although Eddie is now much more independent, it's reassuring to have Susie close by, and Mum is definitely the best person to learn from. On the other side of the park, there's another youngster who's growing up fast. Baby orangutan Dinda was rejected by her mum and is being hand-reared by keeper Mike. She's now 3 months old. And just like human babies, that means one thing.
Teething like mad, but I think the best thing for teething on is a finger, which is not really a good idea to let her get into the habit, because when she does get a few teeth through, she'll still think she can do it. You end up getting a really sore finger because it really hurts. You're going to just open your mouth and see. You can just see up to the top, her top gum. There's just 2 little white dots there, which I think are going to be the first tooth teeth that are going to come through. Something I find interesting is that all the ones that I've ever hand-reared, they seem to go through quite a bad time when they're teething. But I've never seen it with one that's being reared by the mother. The babies just don't seem to go through that same sort of torment that some of the hand-reared ones can. Now, whether they just don't show it in the same way or what, it just accepts it, I really don't know, but it's most peculiar. As you can see, she's got hold of my little finger now, and she's got it shoved right down the back of her throat, and she's chewing on it like mad.
It's not just Dinda's teeth that are developing. Her muscles need to grow too.
They tend to get a little bit lazy, so we're now trying to develop her to make her hang on, and as you can see, she's quite capable of hanging on. Yeah, what? You're going to be a footballer when you grow up, are you? Hey? Who are you going to play for? Huh? Yeah? Which team? The feet, if you watch that foot, see how it immediately grips hold of my finger. The other one, she's just got curled up. Open your finger, that's it. But she can hang on quite happily with those feet as well. But I also remember that when Kai was growing up with his mum, Xiao Kuai, that she actually had the same problem when Kai was first starting to, when she was climbing with Kai, that Kai was getting a little bit lazy, and she actually had to sort of put Kai between her knees and use her chin to sort of hold the baby like that as she was trying to climb up. And now Kai's brilliant. Kai can actually cling on, and he's fabulous. So Dinda's going through really the same sort of things. But we're going to make you climb a bit now, aren't we? And we're trying to get her used to going on the back. Can I just have your hand? And just hold on. Because they will actually ride on Mum's back like that. Of course, I haven't got anywhere near as much hair as an orangutan has, so poor Dinda's at a distinct disadvantage. She's got nothing to get hold of except my ears or my earrings, which she's not allowed to touch. But she hasn't quite sussed this one out yet. So the hands haven't really got hold of there. As you see, she's trying to hold on to the hair on my head. I should really have a nice long wig on or something like that for her to hold on to. I can't see what she's doing, but she seems to be quite relaxed up there. Are you doing up there all right, girl? Yeah?
Across the park in the Bachelor's Chimp group, the two newest recruits are still the centre of attention. 13-year-old Charlie has settled in well since his move from the nursery group, and today he's enjoying some attention from high-ranking Jester. Everyone at the park is delighted to see Jester and Charlie bonding. Jester can be pretty aggressive, so it's nice to see him being considerate to his new housemate. And a bit of pampering puts anyone in a good mood. The other newcomer, Gypsy, is enjoying the attention of alpha male Butch. Butch seems to really like him, and Gypsy clearly loves hanging out with the boss. Moving chimps into new groups is always risky. They might not be accepted, and there's a chance they won't fit in. But that doesn't seem to be a problem for Gypsy. It looks like he was born to be a boisterous bachelor. New boy Charlie has even managed to entice an older chimp, also called Charlie, into a gentle game. Like us, chimps have a long childhood. They're not considered adults until they're 13 to 15 years old. At 13, new boy Charlie can just about hold on to his childhood and enjoy playtime. But at 22, older Charlie soon loses interest in messing about. He prefers more mature activities, like grooming. But new boy Charlie doesn't give up, and soon he's worked his magic on the whole group. It's playtime all round. Back with baby orangutan Dinda, her life lessons are continuing.
Leave me alone.
She is taken into the orangutan nursery group on a regular basis. When she's ready, this will be her new home, so it's important she gets used to their lifestyle.
This is not a human baby. This is an orangutan baby. And we sort of do things like mums would do, pick them up, look at their nails. And as you can see, she's quite happy to be pulled in this sort of direction and picked up. And I'm sure Xiao Kuai would have actually sort of been grooming little Kai and pulling him about like this, down his ears and all sorts of things. And that's the sort of thing that we do with little Dinda here, is treat her like her mum would, so that she grows up thinking she's an orangutan. Very important orangutan. You know, my job's not to make babies out of them. I don't want something that's going to start crying and whinging for me every time it sees me. You know, if they can be part of that group, then that's great. That's my job, and you know, we've all done it well. If they think of themselves as an orangutan, you know, they're not to grow up thinking of themselves as human beings. We know how to do it now properly, so that we can make orangutans and not funny little cross things. That's good, isn't it? Eh?
Next time, we find out if chimpanzee Jolene recovers from her mystery illness. And we catch up with the park's youngest chimp babies, Ash and Rodders.